Ladies and gentlemen, here we are once again on Gaming with Demos, bringing you a new and insightful episode on the good, the bad, and the terrible about the new Halo TV series streaming on Paramount+. Stick around and enjoy. Alright, let's start off giving you a quick 30-second history lesson. Talks about a Halo live-action movie first started as far back as 2002, a year after Halo Combat Evolved came out. A bunch of Hollywood executives wanted to buy the licensee to make a movie, but Bungie was hesitant since the studios did not want to give them full creative access. Which we all know that when you leave a story in the hands of people who don't respect or honor the lore, it will probably be a disaster. So they went back to focus on Halo 2, and later on more talks continued around 2004 with writers like Alex Garland from 28 Days Later and producer Peter Jackson started getting into the mix before it eventually fell apart. If you want more detailed information, check out the link on the upper right hand corner and in the description below. After all was said and done, talks about a Halo movie turned into a live action series adaptation. Even then, things didn't materialize until a decade later, and we find ourselves in the present day, where sometime during 2019 they began production in Budapest, stopped because of Rona, and then resumed in late 2020. Based on what I've seen and read so far, the series will begin more like a prequel, giving us a glimpse of how the Chief became who he is, the characters that play a vital role in that development, and then the new characters they introduce here and there. The focus will be on the war between the UNSC and the Covenant. But while this may all sound very familiar with canon, be aware of the fact that the show will be on its own separate timeline dubbed the Halo Silver Timeline. This, according to the producer, was done to help, quote, protect both the core canon and the TV show story, letting each evolve to best suit the medium they are on, end quote.
Which to me was done as an effort, in my humble opinion, to create and or inject whatever non-canonical nonsense they decide to shove down our throats. Yay, when you are telling someone else's story, one should really stick to portraying it as accurately as possible. When you are coming up with a story of your own, then that's when you can do whatever you want.
But I digress, and we'll take a look at what I'm huffing and puffing about, so you can be the judge for yourself. So we start the cast off with Pablo Schreiber, or Pablo Ski Leader as I like to call him, as Master Chief. It has already been confirmed by the executive producer, Kiki Wolfkill, that they will be showing the Chief's face, not just the back of his head without a helmet, but straight up showing his face. And I quote, "I think we set out to tell a character story and personal story," she explained. And once we really got into what the story was, it became clear that you really needed to see the person in the armor and under the helmet, end quote. This might upset some fans, but hey, what can you do? Schreiber is a pretty good actor overall. I've seen him in a movie or two, but if they're going to portray the Chief as 5'5", then they're already off to a terrible start. Upon checking, he's close to the lore as humanly possible, 6'5", where the Chief, in of course the games, he's like 6'10", and then with the suit, it's like 7'1", so yeah. Now begins the showcase of one of the multiple issues I've been complaining or hinting at. Here we have Danny Sapani as Captain Jacob Keyes, who we all know is portrayed in the original iteration as a white male. So when I first saw this, I was like, are you for real? Already? The problem I have with the race swapping nonsense is the laziness of the writers. Instead of putting in the effort and dedication in creating a unique, well-written character, they just go the easy route of replacing the characters we grew up knowing just to say, hey yo, check it, we represent all the flavors of hip-hop and R&B with this one. But in doing so, they overshadow the real presence of the amazing, very impactful, well-written characters and the actors who portray them throughout the story of the games, books, etc., who are already a minority, and there's no need to race swap. This is Olive Gray, who plays Miranda Keyes, Captain Keyes' daughter, who, get this, is also the daughter of Dr. Catherine Halsey. This Catherine Halsey. This is part of the lore. So either they aren't going to mention it, or if they do, it's going to be a tough thing to sell. But let's see what they do with this. That's all I'm going to say about that. Then, the worst part, spoiler alert, is that they replace these characters who, according to the story, both die.
What? What? Hold up, wait a minute. Wow.
Of course I said that for dramatic effect. Anyone can die in a story, but it's the lazy writing. It's knowing that at one point or another they will die honorable deaths. You get my point. And eventually they'll have to leave the show. So why make changes when there's already the right balance of representación, who without them, at least 2 or 3 of them, would have made the games boring and less memorable. Who can forget Sergeant Johnson, who to me is one of my favorite, most iconic characters. Simply cannot be denied. Portrayed by David Scully, an amazing voiceover artist, whose credits include Halo 1 Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, ODST, and oh wow, he's black? Yeah, save it.
And we let those dumb bugs out to the middle of nowhere to keep them from getting their filthy claws on Earth. But we stumbled onto something that's so hot for that they're scrambling over each other to get it. Well, I don't care if it's God's own anti-son of a bitch machine or a giant hula hoop. We're not gonna let them have it. What we will let them have is a belly full of lead and a pool of their own blood to drown in. Am I right, Marines?
Sir, yes, sir!
Damn right I am. Now move it out. Double time. Where's the rest of your platoon?
Wasted, Sarge.
And we will be too, sir, if we don't get the hell out of here.
You hit Marine?
No, sir.
Then listen up. Usually the good Lord works in mysterious ways, but not today. This here is 66 tons of straight up, HE spewing divine intervention. If God is love, then you can call me Cupid.
What about that scarab?
We've all run the simulations. They're tough, but they ain't invincible. Stay with the Master Chief. He'll know what to do.
Yes, sir, Sergeant.
Thanks for the tank. He never gets me anything.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
Who else do we have? Emil, member of the Noble 16 from Halo Reach, who as we can see is, well, you already know. Played by Jamie Hector, who is a Haitian-American actor. What more can we say? Then, Jameson Locke from Halo 5, played by my man, Luke Cage. That's right, nah man. Mike Coulter, ladies and gentlemen. Then last but not least, Thel Vadim. And yes, that's how you pronounce it. Or the Arbiter, voiced by none other than the very famous, talented Keith David Williams. Need I say more? So when the people and writers who do this think it's really cool and inclusive, but it ends up looking like this. Out of my face, yo. Alright, we're gonna go through some pros and cons, some good and bad stuff, just to get done with the video, so to speak. And here we have Mackie, an orphaned human raised by the Covenant to hate her own people. Ooh. Yeah, already, the Covenant, who their sole purpose and existence is to wage a genocidal war on humanity. And they're gonna take one as an orphan and raise it? Whatever. On a positive note, they cast Jen Taylor reprising her role as the voice actress behind the voice of Cortana, which is great, but then they do this. I don't understand. When you literally have a digital representation of a digital character, why not just replicate the same idea? I mean, for God's sakes. They cast the actress who looks identical to Dr. Catherine Halsey, who we know Cortana's image is based off, and yet they still change the look of Cortana. Next we have the Chief with the wrong armor and helmet. It should be the Mark V we see in Halo Combat Evolved or some similar iteration, not a later model. Then we have the oversized elites. On average, they are around the same height as the Chief, not towering over him like this. Then we have a 2001 Chevy Tahoe in the year 2552. Really? And now the coup de grace. In an article that came out on Poptopic, unverified of course, we don't know who this person is, but the Master Chief is to take a back seat to the female cast in the Halo live action. Master Chief will reportedly only be a supporting character in the live action, with the Australian newcomer Yeren Ha to play the lead. I have nothing else to say. I'll put the article in the description below, but I'm done. This is just a disaster. I became a huge fan of Halo, not because of the skin color the characters had, but because of the wonderful and amazing story it told. I don't need or want to have characters swapped out to meet an agenda. 85% of the people who are pushing for that won't even watch the show in the long run. The true fans just want studios, producers, and writers to bring us a show that has been 20 years overdue. The least they could do is put a damn effort to satisfy the real fans. Thanks for watching, and I'll leave you with Sergeant Johnson.
All you greenhorns who wanted to see Covenant up close, This is gonna be your lucky day.